Hello, it is Tuesday, the 11th of August. I hope you all had good weekends and that you didn't spontaneously combust with the heat wave. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Instant Audio's quickag, a one-stop shop for all your acoustic instrument processing needs. So I started off with a simple acoustic guitar loop. Sounds a little bit like this. I put the Instant Audio quickag on it and made it sound like this. Let's have a quick run through of the main talking points from my first impressions of using the Instant Audio quickag. The interface at first sight is it's a little bit wacky. It kind of looks the way that you'd imagine hardware would look if we lived in a cyberpunk universe. It's actually very easy to navigate. Each of the sections is very clearly laid out. You can quickly switch from variation of acoustic instrument here. And we have input and output controls. Double click to enter. The EQ is probably making the biggest difference to our sound. It takes the dry sound like this and it turns it into this. The low cut is nicely calibrated for acoustic guitars. It allows us to run the full kind of gambit of an acoustic guitar. From this, all kind of roomy and bassy, all the way up to very light, just giving you a little bit of width, a little bit of percussive energy. The body control is probably the most problematic of these controls. It really does flatter to deceive. It gives you a really great amount of weight and heaviness. But if you blend in too much, you start bringing a lot of dull, low mid. The D-harsh control is probably my favorite part of the EQ. I found that it was better to dial it in from 100% and down rather than going up from 0%. It is very, very good at doing exactly what it says on the tin, dialing out those harsh frequencies. The spark control is effectively present and it works nicely to counterbalance what you do with the D-harsh. And for myself, I found it useful to dial in the D-harsh and then start to dial in the spark. So at the moment we've got this going with the EQ. And when we add the compression, we get this. I really like the ability to be able to blend from fet to very mood to clean. With the release, for myself, once again I found it easier to dial it in from 100% and bring it round to where I started to hear that kind of rhythm and pulse of the acoustic guitar. The amount, or the wet-dry, is very, very potent. I do like the sound of this compression, and it's very easy to dial too much in. If I crank this all the way up to 100, that is smothering. So what worked for me was to blend it in from 0. Get it where I thought it needed to be, and then check it in bypass. A little bit more exciting like that. Let's see if we can get some of that excitement back. you see that a very small move makes a big difference. Be careful with this little guy. So the moment we've got the EQ and the compression running, let's drop the extra in and see what that's doing to it. I really like this transient option. It's very, very good for adding a little bit more balance to what you're doing with the D-harsh in conjunction with the spark. It's also very good at balancing off against what's happening with the compression a touch, and when we get there, also with the reverb. The double R. I'm not a huge fan of these things, to be honest, on any plugin. How doublers typically work is they introduce a micro delay from left to right in the signal, allowing you to fake a double. They tend to mess with your phase, they tend to mess with monocompatibility, they don't sound very satisfying. Having said that, just a little bit of this, here we are at 0, let's bring it up. Just a little bit of it is very, very effective. Moving on to the width, once again, I'm not a huge fan of this type of psychoacoustic effect. If you crank it too much, up to 200%, you really start to mess with phase. What this does do very nicely, though, is it does allow you to narrow the acoustic guitar. That's a very nice effect. And we can add just a touch of width. So at the moment we're running EQ, compression, and extra. Let's drop the reverb in. Let's crank the dry wet so you can hear the reverb more easily. Once again, I really like this ability to blend from the different styles. We've got room, hall, and plate. That blending option, very good. Like it on the compression, like it on the reverb. With the length, I found it easier, like the release, to dial it in from around 100% and kind of back it off until I could hear that kind of rhythm and pulse of the acoustic. And with the dry wet, and this is typical whenever I'm using a reverb, I prefer to be able to blend it in from not necessarily 100%, but a high number, and blend it down to where I feel it's sitting nicely. I will say with this, I would have really liked a ducking control on this reverb. I wanted to add a little bit more reverb. I liked the sound of it, but I was starting to lose those transients. The EQ in particular surprised me. I don't usually like these simplified EQs. And in fact, this EQ works very nicely. I particularly like the D-harsh and the spark. I think those two play off each other very, very well. The extra section, I really like this transient. This transient control is great. It feels very natural. It suits the acoustic beautifully. This is practically worth the price of admission alone. The doubler and the width, what can I say? I'm not a fan of these types of effects. Having said that, if you use them sparingly, you can achieve a nice phase consistent effect that has good fidelity and preserves the tone of the instrument. Both the compression and the reverb work very well. I really like the blend control on each of them. It's very intuitive, it's very musical, it's a very nice option to have. I would really like to see some kind of advanced menu, some kind of drop-down menu that gives you some extra options. I'd like to see a ducking option on the reverb, maybe some additional controls for the compression. And when we're coming to the doubler and the width, why not give us a more precise control? With the quickag, Instant Audio have created a plugin that is easy to use, you hit the ground running, and it provides you with a comprehensive set of tools for mixing acoustic instruments. With the next update, if they can add in an advanced feature, for me, they could make it even better. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Until next time, good night and good noise, stay safe and stay healthy.